Peace be with you. In the previous talk, I had explained the covenant which God made with Adam and Eve, how they broke it. God assured them of salvation. I also added that time how God put an enmity between the serpent and the woman and their seeds. Let me continue from there. But before continuing, I just want to focus your attention on 3 points which I will be touching on. First, God renewing the covenant with Noah. Secondly, how the waters of the flood prefigure the sacrament of baptism. And finally, we'll compare. For we find there is a parallel between Adam and between Noah. When God put the enmity between the serpent and the woman, between the seed of the serpent and the seed of the woman, it indicated a spiritual warfare between the righteous and the evil. And this is what we see in the life of Cain and Abel. Both of them bring their sacrifice to God. But God accepts the sacrifice of Abel and rejects the sacrifice of Cain. Why? The answer is found in the scriptures itself. When we read the text, the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 11, verse 4, it tells us that by faith, Abel offered to God a more acceptable sacrifice than of Cain. And why God rejected the sacrifice of Cain? The answer to that is found in the letter of John, 1 John chapter 3 verses 12, which says that the deeds of Cain were evil. So we have the answer. God refuses to accept the sacrifice of Cain because there is evil in his heart. But it is not a permanent rejection. God is telling him, clean your heart, come once again and offer, and I will accept it. And also warns him to guard his heart against all evil. But he doesn't do it. He exposes his heart to evil. Evil resides in his heart, and then with that in his heart, he goes consumed by jealousy. He kills his brother Abel. You remember when Adam and Eve had sinned, God came and spoke to them. Now in the same way, God asks Cain, where is your brother? Cain, just like Adam and Eve, rather than acknowledging the sin, the guilt, the misdeed, like Adam and Eve, he gives excuses. How good it would have been if you had said, God, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have had done this. Have mercy on me. So why was God asking him the question, where is your brother? Is it that God did not know where was Abel? He knew, but he wanted Cain to acknowledge his guilt, his sin. But Cain doesn't do it. And so then what does God do? Spells out punishment, burden for Cain. He will now be a fugitive, and the ground on which he will work will not bear fruit. We use the word punishment. A better word is discipline. So when God is punishing Cain, actually disciplining him. Now what is the meaning of discipline? Discipline is God is allowing suffering to come into one's life so that that person will go away from sin and go close to God. Now you may say that is a very sadist God. No. When I am hurting somebody, I am inflicting suffering on others and I don't even know about it. Or I may do it knowingly. How can God stop that? By allowing suffering to come into my life so that I become aware of the pain which I am inflicting on others. That is what God did with Cain. He wanted Cain to realize the pain is inflicting on others. But did Cain learn a lesson? What happens to the descendants of Cain? What happens to the descendants of Shem? The descendants of Cain are evil. They are wicked. They seek their own glory. The Tower of Babel Who built it? The descendants of Cain. For what? For their own glory. And what about descendants of Shem? They are righteous. They are good. They seek the glory of God. But later on, the descendants of Shem marry the descendants of Cain, the Canaanites. And then there is only evil. Only evil. So at the time of Noah, evil is rampant. Everywhere there is evil. Except for Noah and his family. They were righteous. And so God now decides to clean. So he tells Noah, build an ark. Now when Noah was building an ark, surely people had seen him building the ark. They would have asked him, why are you doing it? And Noah would have told them. But did they change? Did they come close to God? No, they did not. So only those who were in the ark were saved and the others destroyed. This prefigures the sacrament of baptism. This is what Peter writes in chapter 3, verse 20 to 22. Peter explains how the flood prefigures the sacrament of baptism. He says, just as the flood cleansed the waters of wickedness, baptism will cleanse us by destroying the sin. Then, just as creation came out of water in chapter 1 of Genesis verse 2, a new creation, that is Noah and his family, righteous family, will come out of the waters of the flood. And if you proceed further, what happens on the waters of baptism? New creation comes. Anyone who is baptized is new creation. And then Ham was saved by the waters of the flood. But later on after that, he committed evil. Similarly, Peter tells us in his letter, just because we are baptized, it doesn't assure us of eternal salvation. Like Ham, if we are not very careful, we may lose salvation. What are the similarities between Noah and Abraham? From Adam to Noah, there are 10 generations. After 10 generations, because of the wickedness, the descendants of Cain, there is flood. In the flood, we have Noah and his 3 sons. Noah blesses Shem, the eldest. 10 generations fast forwarded. Whom do we get? Terah. Who is Terah? The father of Abraham. Just like Noah has 3 sons, Abraham has 3 sons. Just like Noah blesses his eldest Shem, Terah, the father of Abraham, Nahor and Haran, blesses Abraham. What are the similarities between the covenant which God made with creation and with Noah? I want to read out because it is very, very deep and interesting. There are several parallels between creation, which we find in Genesis chapter 1 and 2, and with Noah in chapters 6, 7 and 8 of Genesis. We see that the number 7, which stands for the covenant, figures prominently in both the accounts. Flood begins after 7 days. Creation takes place in 7 days. The Lord rests on the 7th day. The ark rests on the dry land in the 7th month. Noah sends the bird every 7th day. He takes 7 pairs of every clean animal acceptable for sacrifice. The Sabbath was on the 7th day, which marked the first covenant of God with his creation. The rainbow marks the second covenant with Noah, and it has 7 colors. And so we see the digit or the number 7 playing a significant, pivotal role in the creation and in the flood account. And that is what indicates that it is a covenant. For 7 stands for covenant. So here I conclude my talk on Noah. Remember, God established a covenant with Adam and Eve, a couple. Then, because it's broken, he renews it with a family, Noah and his family. Next, we'll see how God now upgrades that covenant with Abraham and expands it beyond one family to an entire tribe.